Okay, so today we're not gonna just list a bunch of foods you shouldn't eat. Nope. We are going to build from the ground up the one meal, the single best meal you can eat to start clearing out plaque in your arteries and support your entire cardiovascular system. You ready? Let's dive in.
Seriously, just think about that. What if one meal could actually start to protect your heart? A meal that's not just good for you, but actually delicious, and it's actively working for you. Well, that's exactly what we're doing today. This is gonna be a real, actionable plan that you can literally put on your plate tonight.
All right, so before we get to the solution, we've got to understand what we're really up against. You know, when we hear clogged arteries, most of us just picture this simple plug of cholesterol and fat, right? But it's so much more complicated than that. We're talking about a whole situation involving inflammation and, get this, tiny living communities of microbes. Yeah, a key player here is something called a biofilm. Now, what the heck is that? Well, think of it like this. It's a little colony of microbes, like bacteria, that get together and build themselves a little house, a protective shell made of calcium. It's kind of like a tiny igloo that lets them hide out from your immune system. And that hard, calcified structure, that's a huge part of what we call plaque. So you see the big takeaway here, right? This plaque isn't just some passive gunk that builds up over time. No, it's often a living, protected community of microbes. And that little fact, well, it changes everything about how we need to approach this problem. Now, here's the really important part. These biofilms, they can't just set up shop anywhere they want. They need something to grab onto. They're looking for roughened, damaged, inflamed spots on the inside of your arteries. If your artery walls are nice and smooth and healthy, those biofilms just slide right on by. They can't get a grip. Okay, so that leads us to the big question, doesn't it? What's causing that initial damage in the first place? What's roughing up our arteries and rolling out the welcome mat for these biofilms? And I gotta tell you, some of the answers might not be what you expect. The main culprits are, well, they're things that create inflammation and what's called oxidation inside your arteries. Think of it like rust. We're talking about things like high sugar and high carb diets, okay? Those are directly linked to the really bad kind of LDL cholesterol, the small, dense, nasty particles. Then you throw in all those inflammatory omega-6 fats from junk food and processed food, maybe some alcohol, and boom, you've created the perfect storm for damage inside your arteries. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. The damage isn't just coming from the food itself. Listen to this. Bacteria from your mouth, especially if you have things like bleeding gums, can literally get into your bloodstream and travel all the way to your heart's arteries. And it's the same story with your gut. If your gut lining is compromised, you've probably heard the term leaky gut. It lets harmful bacteria sneak out of your intestines and into your bloodstream. It's a real process. It's called bacterial translocation. Okay, enough doom and gloom about the problem, right? Let's talk about the solution. So we know what we're up against. We've got inflammation, we've got these microbial biofilms, and we've got calcium ending up in all the wrong places. So now let's build the perfect meal to fight back against every single one of those issues. And here it is. It's simple, it's powerful, and I promise it's actually delicious. Our artery-clearing meal has just three main parts. First up, a beautiful piece of wild-caught salmon, maybe pan-seared. Second, a big ol' side of really good sauerkraut. And third, a huge supercharged arugula salad. Now, let's get into exactly why this specific combo is just so powerful. That salad, oh man, the salad is where we really get to pack in a ton of nutrients that all work together. So let's build it, okay? We're gonna start with a big handful of arugula as our base. The dressing, super simple. Just whisk together some really good extra virgin olive oil with either apple cider vinegar or a nice balsamic. Then for some crunch and even more goodness, we're gonna throw on some sunflower seeds, some shaved authentic Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, and a little bit of fresh minced garlic. Bam, done. So, you might be wondering why these ingredients, right? Is this just random? Absolutely not. Every single thing in this meal was chosen for a very specific, science-backed reason. Each one is designed to fight those root causes of plaque that we've been talking about. Okay, first, let's talk about something called vitamin K2. I want you to think of vitamin K2 as the traffic cop for calcium in your body. It's a super simple but absolutely critical job. When you have enough K2, it stands there and directs all the calcium to where it's supposed to go, into your bones and teeth. But if K2 isn't on the job, that calcium gets lost, it takes a wrong turn, and it ends up getting deposited in your soft tissues, like your arteries. And that's how you get that hard, dangerous plaque.
And this is why sauerkraut is the superstar of this meal. It is hands down one of the absolute best food sources of vitamin K2 on the planet. But wait, there's more. It's also jam-packed with those good probiotic bacteria. And those little guys, they help shut down those nasty biofilms, they support your gut lining to stop those bacteria from escaping, and they even help keep your LDL cholesterol in check.
Plus, and you're gonna love this, a single serving of good sauerkraut can have up to 7 times your daily requirement of vitamin C. 7 times. Why does that matter? Because vitamin C is a powerhouse antioxidant. It protects your artery walls from that first bit of damage we talked about, and it also directly helps stop those biofilms from forming. I mean, it is a true, honest-to-goodness superfood for your heart.
The rest of the meal is basically the all-star supporting cast. They all work together in perfect harmony. The wild salmon, that brings in the heavy-hitting anti-inflammatory omega-3s to fight the damage. The sunflower seeds are packed with vitamin E, another crucial antioxidant that protects the artery walls. Arugula is a powerhouse green that fights biofilms and helps with blood sugar. And of course, garlic, a classic. It's antimicrobial and it helps lower your blood pressure. See, every player has a role. All right, so you get the problem, you get the science behind the solution. Now let's make this real. Let's turn all this what and why into a practical plan you can actually start using, like today. So here it is, your shopping list. But look closely. I really want you to pay attention to the why next to each item. You're not just buying groceries anymore, you are buying a specific toolkit to rebuild a healthier heart. You're getting wild salmon for the omega-3s, sauerkraut for the K2 and probiotics, you see? Every single thing on this list has a mission. Now, a quick but really important note. Quality matters. It matters a lot. When you're in the store, grab a real, high-quality, extra virgin olive oil. Please avoid those cheap, processed omega-6 oils like soy and corn oil. They're just inflammatory. Same goes for the cheese. Look for the real deal. Authentic Parmigiano Reggiano, usually from Italy. That pre-grated stuff in the green can, it's often full of fillers and just doesn't have the same K2 benefits. Go for the good stuff. So, if we boil this all down, what are the top 3 things to remember? The big takeaways to really truly protect your heart? Focus on this every day. Number 1, swap out those bad omega-6 fats for good anti-inflammatory omega-3s. Number 2, make fermented foods, especially sauerkraut, a non-negotiable part of your routine. And number 3, never forget, your heart health really does start in your mouth and in your gut. Look, this isn't just some interesting theory. Think of this as a prescription for a meal that puts you back in the driver's seat of your health. The science is there, the ingredients are incredible, and the plan, well, it's right there on your plate. So the only question left is, are you ready to make this meal and take that first powerful step?